Good evening, Sean here, Mountains Garage. It's a rainy Friday evening. I think it's just a rain shower. I'm actually soaking wet because I was out putting some wheels on the rear of the 64 Dot because yesterday and today I used the tractor. I carried the rear end outside. I strapped the rear end right in line with the forks. I used a couple of ratchet straps and tied it right under the forks. I backed up and I shoved it right through the wheel well opening and set it right on the rear springs. Piece of cake. And then I gathered all the parts to bolt it in, which I did. Work through the brakes. We're going to look at all that here in a minute. And I got some stuff I'm looking for that I'll mention at the end of the video. I'm shooting this intro before the video because I got busy and that happens that way sometimes. So if I look exactly like this at the end of the video, that's why. I do change my shirt on occasion. We have had a lovely stretch of weather. I love working outside until almost dark and never even swatting a bug. Pretty much where I live on the top of a hill. After the 4th of July week goes by, if I had any mosquitoes or anything in the spring, I'm pretty much all set until next year. It's a good thing I love all the seasons. You have to live in Maine, but when it starts getting all hot and steamy, I think of snow. It makes me happy. But that's not why you came here. You came here probably because you're interested in 64 Dodge Darts, Mopars, Chevys, a combination thereof. Surprisingly, only one person's commented on the fact that I'm going to LS swap it. And that's cool. A lot of people are excited about it, so. It's just an old car. You can always put it back. So let's get, as they say, to the live action. Here we go. Using the tractor forks to shove the rear end under the Dot was genius. It was easy. Dropped it right on there. Didn't run into the quarter panel. Life is good. Now I welded these spring pads on, spring perches, right next to the stock ones. I actually used a plate between them, so they're at the same angle. They're just in further. I cut an old set off. They're also at the same angle. I would never guess that you would install it with the pinion sticking up that far, but I'm going to guess when the weight gets on the springs that the pinion's going to drop down. At least I sure hope so, because it's at a strange angle right now, but I gotta have faith. It was like this before. Then again, everything about this car was wrong before. But now it's a beautiful July evening. There's no bugs. I believe my U-bolts and nuts and everything are all dry. I cleaned them all up and gave them a paint job before supper. So I think I'm gonna come out and put the U-bolts on it. I actually tumbled the nuts and washers. Everything else is pretty clean. The U-bolts still had tags on them. So I don't know at what point, if they ever got fully tightened or what, but they're certainly good enough. And let's stick it all together. That was the tumbler. I used the blue tumbler. It's got walnut shells in it. And in the time it took me to make dinner, they were all clean. What a beautiful evening. I'm glad I did this tonight instead of 5 o'clock in the morning, because due to the ground clearance on the driveway, I had to use this. Would have been kind of loud at 5 o'clock in the morning. But that was the easiest rear end install ever. Got the shocks hooked up, everything takes a 3/4 socket. I'll tighten everything for real once I make sure everything is correct. But now I can finish at least putting the brakes and stuff on, throw some wheels and tires on it, and it'll roll soon. If you were ever curious why Mopar leaf springs work so well and the cars don't wheel hop, they have the rear end mounted in the first third part of the leaf spring, and then 2/3 of it heads toward the back. So it's funny when you look at it, but it works really well. I dug out the back in place and brakes, and while they look pretty good on camera, this wheel cylinder doesn't look so great, and some of the paint's peeled off, so I'm going to strip them apart, put new wheel cylinders in it, paint them up, and put them back together. I'm right here, I might as well. Last night while researching my chair with that casting number, I was coming up short, or with that part number I could find them wheel cylinders for about 42 bucks a piece. Growing up paying $3 or $4 a piece for them, $40 seemed out of reach. But fortunately I found the cross-reference and was able to find some of my local O'Reilly's, and it's 8 o'clock Friday morning. They're already here. So that's cool. They appear to be correct. I already dug out the axles. The axles are 1/8 of an inch difference. That's what the factory ones were, so that's what I ordered. When I ordered them, they weren't for me. If they were, I would have ordered the Chevy and the Mopar bolt pattern, but another 15 bucks the guy didn't want to spend, so we're Mopar only. I already painted the drums. They're drying. Now I got to take these apart and I'll paint the backing plates while I go on a mission. This one's the worst. I'd say the wheel cylinder leaked. Peeled all the paint off. And I'm looking for the balance bar. It's a 10-inch by 2.5 Mopar drum rear. Shouldn't be that hard to find, but lately I find these missing on a lot. The guy was looking for one for a GM the other day and I didn't have it, so I'll find it eventually. That makes the parking brake balance when you pull on the parking brake. And these were $12 a piece. I found some online for starting at $3 a piece, but there's shipping involved and time, so when I get rolling on the project and I didn't think I had to order all this stuff, it costs, some money. That's always the case. Plan ahead, save money. I've completed my Rust-Oleum restoration of my backing plates, reassembled using only 2 tools. The drums came with the car, absolutely brand new. I have cleaned up the housing ends and the threads on the studs. I'm going to put a little lube here. There's an inner seal, and on the O-ring there. The sun has gone around and now the car's in the shade. Everything seems to be lining up perfect, which only means there's still time for something to go wrong. My $12 wheel cylinders, I was happy they came with the bolts. One side bolted right in, the other side I had to grind a little bit where it gets close to the backing plate. You really can't see it, but mine, I just put it on the sanded disc for a minute, and I always back the bleeder all the way out. This has got a weird 7mm bleeder screw, but it's about that long, and put a little anti-seize on it. While it's brand new, where I live, you do this on everything. This car's never going to see salt, but maybe when I'm 95 and I got to work on these again, I'll thank myself. While I was out this morning delivering the TH350 that I built this week, the guy I bought the Dart from left a message that said he left a few parts on his tractor bucket for me. So I stopped by his house on the way home, and it was brand new hard lines. Still got the stickers on them. I don't think they've ever been wet inside. For the Dart that were on the housing when he got it, the rear end, and the new, a almost new flexible line for the Dart with the special breather bolt that I was missing. Threads into the axle tube. It's a vent, and it holds the flexible line onto the diff housing. Cool. That went together pretty easy, and the brake drum is the right stud size. It fits over the shoes and everything. However, the register is incorrect for the axle, so I need to do some research and get some drums that actually fit. I'll go look at the stock axles to see if it's the axle that's different or the drum. I have a suspicion it's the drum. Yes, definitely the drum. That's the same size as the new axles. So while I figure that out, it gives me a chance to clear coat all the bare metal that's left over on the axle and stuff so it doesn't rust. Because I can't help myself. In the middle of a rain shower, but it did not stop me from mounting up the wheels and tires I bought the other day. They need to be black, but other than that, they look pretty good. I think they're going to fit. It definitely sits up in the rear a little bit, but that's kind of the style. I'm getting soaked. I'm going in the house. I picture these in black. I have the matching front once I do something with the front brakes. after I determine I can get an engine to fit and whatnot. Before you get all upset that I'm going to paint a nice set of aluminum wheels black, they were run on a friend's Camaro in the 4 3/4 bolt pattern, and they were run loose. And you can see there's marks all around it. I'm actually going to sand that down. I'm using the 4 1/2 bolt pattern, so I'm using the holes that have never been used. They're just an old set of wheels. I have the matching front ones when I get rid of the 5 4" drum brakes that are on the front of the Mopar. So I'm looking for information on swapping that over to disc brakes. I'm looking for the 10 by 2.5" rear drum balance bar. I know there's probably some Mopar guy staring at his screen right now thinking it's a XX498, dummy. So if you know that stuff, let me know. What else were they looking for? I'm sure it'll come to me and I'll mention it at another time. But here's how funny life is. I didn't have any wheels for the car. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I had saw a set of JFZ front disc brake conversion for a first-gen Camaro, third-gen Nova for sale on Marketplace down in Boston, Massachusetts, a couple hours south of me. I forgot about it, and one night I'm going through all my saved listings, and there they are. So I contact the guy, and I bought them. He mailed them to me. Excellent deal. JFC's been out of business for a long time. I think Willwood bought them a long time ago. So this kit is brand new in the box and very old. But he mentioned he had some other stuff. He had a ARC overhead control panel with directionals and everything, which is pretty rare. Typically the race ones don't have, directionals and lights and all that stuff. I want to put that in the dart. So I got a wicked good deal on that. And he had a whole box of stuff and a rear end housing. So he drove it up to, I met him in Portland like a week ago Sunday. I got all the stuff, and in the box was 20 brand new 1/2" right hand open end lug nuts. These are very specific lug nut, and I'm laughing to myself thinking, I'll have these till I'm old and gray. Never going to have a use for them. The same afternoon, just before dark, a friend of mine posts a set of wheels and tires for sale with the 275 drag radials, and it's got new skinny fronts, and they take this lug nut. So what are the chances? Because I put aftermarket axles in it, 1/2" right hand, these are perfect. So I just took 5 out of the brand new yellowed package. I mean, look at how long these things have been sitting around. Sometimes it works out that way. So I hope you enjoyed this random episode. There'll be plenty more Dodge material. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you next time.